All right, we are just over a week away from Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, and a lot of talk in the build-up to this fight has been about the weights that both guys are. People are speculating the weights both guys will come in at. Now, with Alexander Usyk, some have speculated that he's going to maybe try and put on a bit of weight, and they've been doing that for a while now. With every fight, certainly at heavyweight, Usyk's been in. Oh, he's gaining. He's this. He weighs about 220 roughly. I mean, his weight tends to kind of stay within a 5 pound radius since he's been up at heavyweight. So I don't envision that being any different for this fight, to be honest with you. With Tyson Fury, that's a bit of a trickier one because the last few years, well, since the Wilder rematch where he weighed 273 pounds, he's been kind of in the 270s or the high 260s. He was 273 in the rematch. In the trilogy fight, he was 277. He was not as up for that by his own admission as he was for the second fight. And you could tell in the ring on fight night, it was a harder fight than it probably needed to be. Against Dillian Whyte, he was nearly a stone lighter. He was 264. I actually thought he was heavier than that. I knew he was in the 260s, but I was actually surprised when I seen 264. I thought he was heavier than that. 268 against Chisora. And against Ngannou, you could see going back to the press conference, he was not in the best shape aesthetically. He wasn't. There's just no ifs or buts and this and that. He didn't train as hard as he should have for Francis Ngannou, and I don't think he was in the best of shape. You could tell that. With Alexander Usyk, with this fight, he's had pretty much since, I would imagine he took a little bit of time off now. When I say a little bit of time, maybe a fortnight thereabouts after the Ngannou fight. He's been pretty much training the whole way through. He might not have been doing, high intensity training straight after the Ngannou fight, but he's been ticking over since then. And the picture you see in the thumbnail, he's in there with a guy called Ricky Gorman, I believe his name was. That's from his own Instagram page, Ricky Gorman. I wonder if he's related to Nathan Gorman. And Fury is looking lean. When you see him in pictures, you can tell he's shifted some weight. You can absolutely tell that. I know he released that clip of him in the gym about a week or so ago, maybe a bit more than that, where he was, I think, doing some shadow boxing. He didn't look lean. Well, he never looks lean, but you know what I mean? Like, he looked a little bit heavier in that clip. But I speculate that that's not a recent clip. That could be an old clip that he just chucked online for whatever reason, for the sake of it, maybe to make Alexander Usyk think that, is he not doing the necessary amount of training? Tyson Fury looks lean in the most recent pick, and that was a pick from the 3rd of May, I believe it was, or certainly kind of in the most recent time anyway. So Fury is looking in pretty good shape. When you look at the weights there, you kind of look and you say, well, what realistically could he come in at? Now, I reckon he's going to be similar to what he was against Dillian Whyte, in the kind of 260s, in the lower part of it. Because to be honest with you, against Dillian Whyte, he looked good in that fight. There was a few there wasn't really any, but there was a few moments where Dillian Whyte, more so switching southpaw made Fury's punch output drop a bit. But for the most part, that was a fairly routine win for Tyson Fury. And you see him at 264 and contrast that to him at, say, 277. I'm not just talking about the Ngannou fight. Look at the Wilder fight as well. You contrast that Fury to a Fury a stone lighter. I think in the 260s is the sweet spot at this point in his career. Now, some are speculating that he may actually come in because against someone like Alexander Usyk, he's always going to be the bigger man. There's just no ifs or buts. He's always going to be the bigger man, regardless what weight Usyk comes in at. He's the bigger, the stronger guy. I reckon he's going to look to move. Now, it goes without saying, if you're 260 pounds, it's going to be easier to move more consistently and faster at 260 than it would at 277. It's an extra 17 pounds of weight you're having to lug around and carry. Your legs are going to get tired pretty damn quick, as will your arms. So, and the weight coming off, the better. Some are speculating he might even be in the 250s. I doubt that very much because he hasn't been in the 250s for nearly 5 years. Last time he was in the 250s was against Otto Wallin. And, I think it was John Fury was saying that he was too light, that they should never have tried to get him down to that weight. They were trying, I think, to get close to what he was against Klitschko, to that prime weight. Now, I don't think it's feasible for Tyson Fury. That's not to say he can't do it. I'm sure he could, but can he do it safely while still retaining his strength? I don't think so. I don't think he can. And you'll often hear fighters, and it's amazing to me the way when a fighter is interviewed that you don't have people who actually bring this up and question it with the fighter. You'll often hear fighters who will, like a Dave Allen is a good example, a fighter who was consistently out of shape. He maybe, remember when he was fighting on those Matchroom shows, would occasionally get himself into shape, would weigh in the 230s, would perform and do what he needed to do, and then straight away he'd be saying, I feel weak. I need to go back to the 250s. You're like, well, of course you're going to feel weak. You got on a crash diet to take a lot of weight off in a short period of time. I mean, obviously you're going to feel weak. It doesn't take a genius to work that. You don't have to be a specialist in S&C to work that out. If you do it incrementally, if you do it, a couple of pounds a week, 2 to 3 pounds a week, that's sustainable. It's a lot more sustainable than just doing a big crash diet and just boom, it's all gone. Oh yeah, you look great, but how's your legs? Yeah, they ain't there, are they? No, they're not. If you do it, if you do it the right way, and you also keep it that way, so your body can get used to it, you're gonna feel a lot stronger than you would if you just take it off, and then you're shock horror. Your legs are gone. Oh, brilliant! I never would have worked that. I never could have imagined that was gonna happen, but it did. Now, with Fury, I think that they will be smart enough and well advised enough to not do that. I do worry because the way Fury has been talking, it seems to me, and I was speaking to Hatman on the Element Group about this, and I said that it reminds me a little bit of David Haye when he fought Tony Bellew. Not to that extent is Fury as far gone as David Haye was when he fought Tony Bellew second time around. Certainly not. He's a lot more in the tank. That David Haye was just, it's not even fair to say he was shot. It was even worse than that. But when you look at David Haye, the way he was speaking in the run to that Bellew, the way he was speaking in the run to the Bellew fight, and the little things he was doing, something as subtle as bringing back the Union Jack shorts. When David Haye made his comeback, he ditched the Union Jack shorts. The Union Jack shorts were what he wore in his prime, and he brought them back for the Bellew fight in a way of almost to kind of get back to what he was, to try and recapture, I used to wear these when I was in my peak, I'll wear them now and I'll be back to my peak. Well, it didn't work, did it? And it's not that extreme with Fury, but I think that that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to look and say, okay, when you were at your best, you were 245. We're not going to get close to that, but can we get into the 250s? Maybe. I don't think Fury will be strong at all in the 250s. I think that if he is, you could have a scenario where, although Fury is the heavier guy, Usyk is maybe going to be the physically stronger, not in a sense of he can lift more or something, but he'll just have a lot more left in the tank. He'll have more in his legs, he'll have more in reserves, because you run the risk of leaving it all in the gym. If you're focusing on just taking as much weight off and coming in lean by your standards and doing it too quick, you run the risk of overtraining and leaving it all in the gym. And I don't think Tyson Fury will have done that. I suspect they'll have done it the right way, but it is something to worry about. It is something that you need to think about. I like the fact that we're seeing him in good shape. It certainly looks that way anyway. It's going to be very interesting to see what he weighs in come fight night. I'm not really much of a gambling man, but if I was to hazard a guess, if you gave me a fiver and said, give me a weight, I would say below 265, but not in the 250s. So you're talking roughly from 260 to 265. I reckon that's the weight Fury's going to come in at. And I think that's actually going to be a very good weight for him if he does come in at that weight, because I think he'll regain a lot of his strength, but also he's not having to lug around an extra stone of weight. And I think that that'll be a very good weight. If they've done it right, it'll be a very good weight for him. With Fury, he is one of these fighters who seems to rise to the occasion. He always seems to. He always seems to be a fighter when, against Deontay Wilder in the rematch, I remember at the time, I think I was one of the few channels who was picking Fury at the time, because I remember going back at the time anyway, and loads of channels were picking Deontay Wilder. And I kind of felt, well, I picked Wilder first time around. I thought it was a no-brainer. And it's been over a year since then. Fury's got better. Wilder is the same as he always is. So Fury should win it. I didn't think he'd win it as dominantly as he did. That surprised me. But him winning, yeah, I was convinced, yeah, he'll win this. Now, you go into the trilogy fight and haven't seen how dominant he was in the rematch, you thought, oh, it's a formality. Fury's going to win this. Well, he did, but he very nearly didn't. The trilogy fight was the best out of all three. And I'm sure Tyson Fury will tell you if they could all be like the rematch, he'd be happy. Because that trilogy fight, he shifted some punishment in there. He definitely did. And that was a fight in which we expected it to be easy. And contrast that to the rematch, we expected that to be hard. It didn't go that way. With Tyson Fury, it just seems that way. It seems that when he's expected to do well, for the most part, it becomes hard. But when his back's against the wall, he really does tend to come out swinging. And some would argue maybe he is a bit like, a wounded animal. He's been back into a corner and now he's got to come out swinging. The only thing is, though, when he was doing that in the past, he was a lot younger and fresher. Right now, he's in his mid-30s. He's had injuries. He's lived a very, very unhealthy lifestyle outside of the ring, and not just the few years he was out, going back to when he started his career. At some point that will catch up to you. You could be a fighter who has the utmost heart, like Evander Holyfield, but at some point you can only go to the well so many times. Will this be the point where it catches up on Fury? We'll find out on fight night. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Tyson Fury looking, certainly by the pictures we've seen, looking in good shape. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace.